guys, I hope you're doing well. I was going to sift a little bit of pumice, and I've had a few people ask some questions about sifting and how you would do it, and it's pretty simple, but if you've never done it before, you know, it never hurts to see, especially if you're a visual learner like I am. So I was just going to show you guys how I take unsifted pumice. Sometimes the pumice that you buy is graded, and so it's certain sizes and it's already been sifted, particularly if you're ordering on the internet. A lot of times they don't want to ship all of the sizes together quite as much. And it's usually because it's more a premium kind of product, so you can buy kind of the size that you're looking for. And but if you're buying it in bulk in big bags from your nursery that's local or a feed store, etc., it usually isn't sifted. And sometimes it's really not necessary when you're using it as an additive. Other times they can be a huge advantage to sift your pumice, and I'm gonna show you how I do that. So here we go. Alrighty, first off, I thought I'd show you my bag of pumice. A few people have asked about what kind of pumice I use. If I can get this camera focused up here. And it is just Unigrow is the brand, but you can see there's no brand on top really here. Just says premium pumice, and then kind of just describes it. It says natural organic soil conditioner, independent soil drainage, improves soil drainage and aeration, 100% natural volcanic rock. So this is all just kind of description, but on the back here it has the brand, and I'll just show you the logo. Oh, come on, little bag. Unigrow is the brand. U-N-I-G-R-O. And it really doesn't matter brand-wise on this kind of stuff. Just find whatever you can get, as long as it doesn't have any additives or anything put into it already. You should be good to go. All right, I'm gonna plop this down and show you where I go from here. Alrighty. So this is, first off, I guess I should start with, this is my sieve, and you can get lots of different types made out of lots of different things. Mine has 3 screens, 3 different sizes. You can get them, I think, with up to like 5 different sizes that are kind of can potentially be helpful, I will say. But these are kind of some of the most common sizes that can be really helpful. And so when we start off with the largest size first. And so whatever your particular screen set or sieve set came with, just start off with the largest screen first. And what you're doing is you want a tray underneath to catch whatever you're sifting through. And you can put large amounts onto screens, and if you're doing smaller grains, once we get down lower, you'll see it balls up more. But with this largest screen that comes, which I forget, they do these in millimeters, and I forget what the size is on this particular one that I have. But most of the pumice in at least the stuff that I have is much larger than this. So you can just dump it around, and so most of it's going through here, especially if you put it back and forth a couple of times. If it didn't go through, a lot of times it's just because it was angled differently. So then this is the largest, very largest size here, and this is what we're gonna keep or separate. So this is still mixed of multiple sizes, but this is what we'll separate out here. So just gonna dump that into a container real quick, because if I kept knocking this that batch back and forth, some more would go through for sure, but I want most of these larger sized ones out. I like them in particular for a couple applications, but it's not a super common size for me in this bagged stuff. I'm just going to do a couple more to get a little bit more of these larger sizes here, and then we'll move down to the next screen. And like again, I could keep tumbling this and a few more would fall out. But all of about that, approximately this size. I don't need this larger size and exact. Let's show you here. So there's the size we're looking at here. And then you just pop the screen out like this, at least on these guys. Some of them have a little clasp that you need to undo. It just kind of depends on what you have. There are square ones, there's all different types. In my opinion, there's not really one that's just so much better than another one, for as long as you're not doing massive amounts. If you're doing really large amounts, then sometimes it can matter. But for just the little stuff for the potting that I do, it is there's no real advantage to getting a really expensive one versus a fairly cheap one, in my experience anyways. But if you're doing massive amounts, yes, having a really nice one could be great. All right, so I got the same pumice. I just knocked it out of here and put it in a different tray. And we're gonna go through and do the exact same thing again with this size. And you can just, if you have a really large container, just shake this big thing, you know, this whole thing vigorously. Since I'm straining into a seeding tray here, it's just a little bit more narrow, so I just do it a little bit slower. But you can really go to town and do this really quickly if you want. I'm usually a big efficiency person, but once in a while with gardening stuff, I just like to slow down and feel what I'm doing and just enjoy it. All right, so you can see the size that we have here. We'll do a comparison in just a jiffy. For these bags, for me, I have the smallest two sizes possible. Is the largest amount for me in general. And again, I like to use it unsifted a lot. I don't mind all of the sizes being mixed together. You can see that. I'll show a comparison at the end of all of them. But once in a while, it is really nice to have a certain size. Like for starting seeds, pumice can be really helpful, but like with starting lithups or other meseme seeds, it's too big, and the little tiny seedlings sometimes have trouble pushing a big, you know, grain of pumice off, and then it just doesn't hold as much water. It has too much air, etc., etc. So a lot of times we use sand instead. Well, I like the really fine pumice pieces for that, the almost sand fine pumice pieces. And it behaves a lot like sand, but has some more accessible minerals for the seedlings, etc. And so the bottom of these bags usually have a fair amount of the really fine stuff. And to sift some of that out, sometimes I use a large kitchen strainer. For that, I have just a cheap set that I use for gardening stuff and straining off peat mixtures and all kinds of different things. And so sometimes that is more helpful for the really fine stuff. If the stuff that we're getting through this last screen. If you're wanting really fine stuff, again, you can get several screens that are finer than this one. And I think this size, the size that is left in the screen, is probably my favorite size. And I honestly don't know, because I haven't ever had to order pumice. I only see, you know, what other people post of what they've ordered online of pumice, but it seems like a lot of it is about this size. And so I don't know if this is a favorite size. You guys can comment below if you have a size of pumice that you like the best for certain applications. I like some of the larger chunks for some of the Haworthia. I don't think I have any right now in large pumice, but then this, about this size, I think that's about good. There's a little bit still coming through, but for the most part, we're pretty good. So, I'll take a look at this size here. This is just a great, really nice size. Now, to be a little bit more exact, you could re-sift this through the next size up and then this one again, and you'll get a little bit more of a few of the irregularities out. If it matters to you, you can do this a little bit more exact. And then for this bottom, it's like a really coarse sand. Now this, just as is, I think makes a great medium, especially for adding in for seedlings. But if you want to, you can rinse this off, and in a fine strainer. I have shown rinsing pumice in another video, I know. It wasn't sifted, but it's the same thing. And that will rinse off some of the really, really fine, powdery sediment that's in here, and leave you with more of just this pure, coarse sand. Let me get just a little bit of each and show you all the sizes together here. All right. So anyways, that's pretty much the process. I'll keep talking as I get all of these in their little trays just to do a comparison here. That's pretty much what you do, and this works, you know, it's exactly the same for bark or you know, soil, if you're sifting your soil, or etc., etc. You just it depends on what particle size you want for what you're growing, and you can just go from there. And there are some really good benefits to having a uniform particle size, and I won't geek out for a planting medium. I won't geek out on all of you about all of the specifics of why, but there are some, you can Google that if you are curious. There's some great benefits for various different situations for having particle size uniform or a certain size, either and both. All right, so let me get you guys a good look at this here. Sorry. Okay, I'm way too shaky. Sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna have to spin you around this way and set you down here. I have been really, really shaky with the medication changes that we've been doing. And so sometimes I don't realize quite how shaky I am until I see it through the camera. But anyways, there you can see the largest. This is the biggest stuff. And so this can go from, you know, it could go from this big, because it's anything that wouldn't fit through this first filter here. So, you know, if it's going to be this big, that would have kept on top here. But as long as you don't have any huge particle size, really huge ones in, this is still usually fairly uniform. And then next we got this size here, and then this finer one. And I love this size for like cuttings, like conophytum cuttings. That's a great size, and this is better for seedlings, I think. And mixed in with other stuff is great. I don't usually use it alone. It's just a great size. So anyways, out of the 3 different screens that we had here, we get the 4 different sizes approximately. And if you wanted to, this one could be cleaned up by rinsing it. It would leave just the larger. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, we'll see here, but if you can see the really fine, you know, fine grains mixed in with the larger grains, but they're definitely there, and that fine sediment can kind of harden sometimes around the drainage holes and different things. And so there are some advantages to rinsing it off in different times, but it's full of minerals and good stuff for plants, so leaving it on, there are definitely advantages of that too. Alrighty, I think that's it for today. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. If you would like to join the Facebook group for this channel, there will be a link in the description box below. It's called Succulent Alchemy now. And yeah, there will be a link to join that in the description box below, and we will see you there. And until next time, happy growing!